In this video, we are going to discuss the round number 8 of the FIDE Candidates Chess Tournament 2024. The game is played between Vidit Gujrathi versus Gukesh. And the time format is 2 hours for the first 40 moves, and after 40 moves, both the players will get 30 minutes, and from the 41th move, the 30-second increment will begin. So for the first 40 moves, both the players is having 2 hours but no increment. So the game is going to be very interesting and I don't want to waste any further time. So let's start. So Vidit starts the game with 1 e4 and Gukesh replies with e5. Knight to f3, knight to c6, and we have the move bishop to c4, also the Italian game. And many of the viewers have already commented me that they want a video on the Italian game. So we have the move knight to f6, the 2-knight defense. And all those that many players would like to play is knight to g5, the fried lever attack. But guys, after knight g5, it's not really working nowadays because after d5, if you try to capture the pawn, black is going to play the move knight a5. Already, if you try to capture the pawn, it's a bad move because of knight f7, followed by queen f3, knight c3. So we have the move knight to a5, and the point here is after bishop b5 check, black is not really going to play the move c6, but bishop to g7 instead. The point is after takes, the pawn is going to collapse. Black is going to do a long castle, a6, b5, h6, g5, and black is already having a better position. So that's the reason knight g5 is not really working nowadays. So we have the move d3 by Vidit, a6. And now a6 is already a very interesting move. So what's happening? So basically after a6, Gukesh played this move instantly. So already it's a part of his preparation. And definitely Vidit have not looked at this particular move because it's not really popular. The best move is to play the move bishop to c5, the common way to continue the game. So after e6, so now there are many possibilities that white can go for. First of all, like black's idea can be to play the move b5, expanding on the queen side and attacking the bishop. So a possibility is to play the move a4, stopping b5. The second possibility is to play a simple move like short castle, which makes the most sense. The third move is to play the move c3. The idea of c3 is pretty normal in these kind of position. I'm pretty sure that all the Italian players must know. Like the idea is to play the move d4, and sometimes the idea could even be to play the move b4, expanding on the queen side. So after e6, like Vidit took around like 20 minutes and he played the move short castle. After short castle, now Gukesh played another interesting move, which is to play the move h6 instantly. So after h6, the idea is pretty clever. The idea is to simply stop the move bishop to g5. And now, like when you are playing such a high tournament, you are having this particular position when you are not really prepared and your opponent is simply banking up the move, fully prepared. So after h6, it looks like black's idea could be to play the move expanding on the king side and to launch a king side attack because black has not yet short castle. The idea could be to play the move b5, bishop b7, queen e7, long castle, maybe, I'm not sure. So after h6, Vidit played a very logical move, which is to play the move a4. The idea is to stop b5, and now there could be some potential ideas like if black castles long side in the future, white's already idea is to play the move c3 b4, expanding on the queen side. So after a4, Gukesh simply played the move bishop to c5, developing the bishop to e3 by Vidit, d6, not really allowing white to capture, but just giving white the freedom that do you want to capture. So d6, the idea is to simply develop the bishop on the next move, knight to d2, short castle, c3, and now as I said, c3, the idea could be to play the move b4 or even d4 sometimes. So we have the move rook to e8 by Gukesh, b4, now giving choice to Gukesh whether he wants to grab the bishop or whether he simply wants to go back with bishop. So Gukesh simply decided to capture the bishop, pawn takes, and now at the first glance it looks like white is having the open f file, the bishop is very nicely placed, and like whenever you are having this open f file for your rook, you can get some attacking chances with something like queen e1, queen g3, knight h4, knight f5, and it looks like white's play is going to be very much smooth. So after f into e3, Gukesh played the move bishop e6, which makes a lot of sense, and somehow you can say the position is even because like definitely white is having more space, white is having the open f5, but the whole point here is black's position is extremely solid. It's very hard to crack. So bishop to e6, and now Vidit played the move b5, and already Vidit is having 56 minutes, whereas Gukesh is having 1 hour 30 minutes on his clock, and it's already move number 12. So already Gukesh, we just have to play like 28 moves under 56 minutes. You can say average time is 2 minutes for each move, which is extremely hard. So b5, attacking the knight, and here Gukesh played the move knight to b8. Personally feel the best move could have been to play first capture the bishop. You can't really capture with the pawn because white's pawn structure is completely lost and you can simply win the game. So you have to capture with the knight, because if you try to capture the knight in this position, black can really capture the pawn and black is winning the game. So you have to capture the bishop, and here black can play the move knight to b8. The idea is to play the move knight to g7, knight to c5, because knight on c6 was not really doing much. So knight to b8, and the point here is after queen c2, knight d7, knight to d2. The idea is to play the move c4, c5, because you can't really push the pawn to d4, because black will happily capture it and followed by capturing the pawn on e4. So it's already a bad move. So already knight to g2, knight c5, c4, and black can already take on b5, and black is already having a very comfortable position. Black's position is extremely solid. Black can play the move like c6, and you can't really push the pawn to d4 in the future because the pawn will be collapsing on e4 anytime you push the pawn to d4. So that's the whole reason. I personally feel bishop into c4 would have been a bit more precise, but knight b8, extremely fine move. Bishop e6, rook into e6. You really don't know how to capture the bishop with the pawn, because first of all, you're not having the rook on f8, and second, you've already played the move h6, which weakens up the gc square. White can play the move knight h4, knight g6, and white is having a very comfortable position. Queen e1, queen g3, or even queen g6 also possible. So that's the whole reason of capturing with the rook. Queen to c2, knight to d7, developing the final piece, and already we have the move d4 by Vidit, pushing up the d pawn. Queen to e8, the idea is to capture the d4 pawn followed by capturing the e4 pawn. So first we have the move rook to e1, the whole point is takes, and now the pawn is protected by the rook. So going back, we have the move pawn takes, and now we have the move rook to a5, activating the rook from the a file. And I already feel that black is already better because black is having a tons of counterplay. White needs to be careful because the first of all b5 is collapsing. Black is having the open a file, which is the only file that is opened up in the whole position. And second, black is already having some cheap tricks like capturing the pawn on d4, and black is already better. So c4 by Vidit, queen to e8. So you can already sense that Gukesh is shifting the play from the center to the queen side, because black is the only one having the open control of the open file. So queen to a8, h3. The idea is to maybe stop knight g4 maybe, I'm not sure, because knight g4 is not really doing anything. The idea could be to play the move king h2, rook g1, g4, attacking on the king side, because you can't really play on the queen side because black is already playing on the queen side and you can't really win on the king side battle. So it's the best to open up the king side and try to attack the black king. So rook to e8 by Gukesh, a very nice move because rook on e6 wasn't doing much. And after rook to e8, Vidit played the move king to h2, which is already not a good move, it's a bad move. Like, I'm not really sure what is the idea of king h2. Maybe the idea could be played rook g1, g4, g5, but white is not having that much time to do so. A much better move could have been to play the move knight b1. The whole idea is to reroute the knight to the d5 square, and white is somehow getting some play. But king h2 a bad move, because here we have the move b6, rook f2, rook to a2, already activating the rook, queen d3, and now rook to a3. So I guess Gukesh could have simply played the move queen h3, because if Vidit tries to trade off the queen, black is already better, because like black can play the move rook c3, putting pressure on the c4 pawn, getting another rook to the battle, rook a2, and you can already sense like white is having camp full of weaknesses and black is the only one attacking white, so it's already like a one-side position. So queen a3 would have been a fine move, but rook to a3. But now the most interesting part here is Vidit didn't repeat the move, but he played the move queen to b1 instead. Like he could have played queen c2, allowing rook to a2, but okay, queen to b1, queen to a4, now simply getting in with the queen. Knight to h4, the idea is to play the move knight f5, getting some kind of counterplay maybe. Rook to a8, and I can already sense like it's a one-side battle, because white side is to play on the king side, whereas black is having the full control of the queen side. So knight to f5, the idea is to play a knight to e7 check, and maybe put the knight to c6 or even to g5. So very nice move by Gukesh. King to f8 covering the e7 square. Rook to f1. That it could be to maybe sack something and capture the knight, but it's not really working in this position. So rook a1, and now we have the move queen to d3. Already if you try to capture the rook in this position and go into the endgame, it's not really working because white is having tons of weakness, and black can already play something like rook e1, capturing the pawn, capturing the e4 pawn, and black is winning the game. So that's the reason queen d3, and now already queen to b4. Black's idea is to simply get another rook into the game, and black is already winning. So rook takes, c5, and like what's happening in the scenario? So it's the move number 28. Vidit is having 12 minutes on his clock, whereas Gukesh is having 24 minutes. So already Vidit have to make 12 moves under 12 minutes without any increments. So already one move per minute. And already it's very hard to find a good move from the white side because you can't really move your D knight because already of something like maybe getting in with the queen. It's already very hard. Or maybe even rook a3 is coming up. So it's already very hard, and Vidit is facing a lot of pressure in this particular position. So he played the move c5, and after c5, black simply capture the pawn with the pawn, and black is already having a better position. The whole point here is, it doesn't matter which pawn you really capture, I'm going to simply capture with the knight, not with the pawn, and black is completely fine, and black is winning. Black is already a pawn up. So already after c5 takes, Vidit played the move knight to c4. Like maybe his idea was, like after knight c4, if you try to capture the pawn in this position, Vidit is going to capture the pawn on e5, and the point here is, if you try to capture like the pawn with the knight, I can capture the knight because like the queen is hanging now, so you have to capture the queen. Takes, and now white is having two minor pieces. Going back, if you capture with the pawn, like now black is already having bad pawn structure, and white can get some counterplay with a rook to b2 attacking the queen. So I personally feel this was Vidit's idea, but he simply missed the move after knight c4, which is queen to e1. And the whole point here is, after queen e1, the rook is hanging, so first you have to protect the rook e2, but now already queen g1 check, king g3, and now it's already a mating trap. Knight to h5 check, the king goes to h4, knight to f6, and now knight into pawn because it's one move mate of g5 and it's game over, so knight h6. And already queen h2, a very good move by Gukesh. The idea is to play the move queen g3, fourth mate. So knight f5 covering the g3 square, but already rook to f1. The idea is to capture the knight and then play the move queen g3 checkmate. So already g4, still a brilliant move by Gukesh, capturing the giving exchange sacrifice. Because the whole point here is, if you try to capture the queen, which I'm pretty sure many of the people didn't see, black can play g5 and it's mate. Like in the corner of the board, it's mate. So you have to capture the rook, but now already queen g3 check, king g5, knight h7 check, and on the 38th move, Vidit decided to resign the game. The whole point here is, if you try to capture the knight, queen h3 and the game is over. So it's the fourth mate. So a brilliant game, I would say, played by Gukesh to beat Vidit, and now he has already tied in the first position with Nepomniachtchi. Personally feel that Vidit have taken a lot of time out of the opening. Like a6 he took around 20 minutes, and after h6 he took around like 10 minutes. So already he's like having 1 hour 30 minutes from the move number 6, which is pretty bad deal for him. Whereas Gukesh is fully prepared with 2 hours on his clock. So I personally feel Vidit have to work on his clock time management, and whereas we have this particular game. So after the round number 8, Gukesh and Nepo is tied for the first rank with 5 points. Hikaru Nakamura and Pragnanda is having 4.5 points. Fabiano is having 4 points. Vidit is having 3.5 points. Alreza Firouzja is having 3 points, whereas Nijat Abbasov is having 2.5 points. And if you like this game, make sure to like the video, share this video with everyone, and make sure to subscribe to our channel if you are new to our channel. I'm going to see you soon, so till then stay tuned and keep watching OneShot Chess.